I've said that Apple Immersive Video was the killer app for the Apple Vision Pro, and I just saw the Submerged short film, and this thing absolutely changed my brain, so let's talk about it. Okay, now, yes, did I hype you up with that intro? I'm not trying to overstate what I experienced, but I'm going to tell you, everything that you see here, everything that we talk about today with the Apple Vision Pro and Apple Immersive Video and their new Submerged short film, you really have to experience it for yourself. So yes, if you do own one of these, I recommend you just go run out right now, pop on the headset and check out Submerged. And then maybe when you come back and hear my thoughts, you're going to be like nodding your head and be like, oh yeah, oh my gosh, you're right about that. Because without it, you lose a little something. But what I'm going to do is try and tell you what happened to me. And to me, this was the next level of filmmaking. And I want to take us back. Let's start off here and kind of lay the ground. Back at the end of January, what did I say about the Apple Vision Pro, right? I said, there is no technology out there like it. It is top tier technology, and it's an experience you'll never have anywhere else. I also said, yes, it's still too heavy for most people for long periods of time. Also, right, it's not the most comfortable to wear. In addition to that, it's expensive, $3,499 starting price point before add-ons, before tax. That just isn't for everybody when you start at that price point. And then the other thing is it needs more content and it needs more experiences to elevate this to what it can be. So that is what Apple just showed me, something that no one has seen and experienced anywhere else. And I'm going to try and tell you what happened here. Now, when I talk about this being the most immersive product out there on the market, it's true. When you talk about Spatial video, which is recordings from your phone, and then also Apple Immersive Video, which is that 180-degree video shot in 8K, and then also has advanced spatial audio. When you try out those Apple Immersive experiences, that is what is going to really blow you away. But they've started building the library, and I think this is a moment that we're going to remember as one of those points where this is where things changed. So I recently got to visit Apple HQ to experience two new Apple Immersive Video experiences. Now, the first one was the NBA All-Star Game for 2024. You know me, I'm an NBA junkie, so seeing things like the Rising Stars Challenge, seeing the Slam Dunk Fest with Mac McClung dunking on top of Shaq, seeing the actual game, and then the three-point shootout, Steph versus Sabrina. I'm going to tell you, I've been fortunate enough to be able to interview multiple players that were on that court in person and be courtside at games, and seeing like LeBron and Giannis and KD through the Apple Vision Pro, the scale, the realism, right? This is all in 3D. It's shot in 8K. 4K is delivered to each eye. It did a more than accurate representation of just the visceral things that you feel there. So we were sitting in multiple spots on the court. There's different camera angles, and the cameras are not that big. I mean, they're roughly the size of the cameras that we're using to shoot this video. That's how incredible this tech is. So that was a really cool experience. But then Apple's like, okay, that's in a sports setting. Let's kick things up a notch. And I got to watch Submerged, which is the first ever scripted film shot in Apple Immersive Video for the Apple Vision Pro. Now, if you remember, they teased this at WWDC 24, and I was like, oh, okay, that kind of makes me curious. This is directed by Edward Berger, Academy Award winner for All Quiet on the Western Front recently. He also just released the Vatican thriller Conclave for screening at the Toronto Film Festival. That's getting tons of buzz. And then Apple, the timing sometimes just works out. Apple partnered with him specifically for Submerged. And so everything is lining up big for both of these two groups, Apple and Edward Berger. And I'm going to tell you, Submerged, again, when I say this was a brain-changing experience, it was a brain-changing experience. So Submerged, again, this is a 17-minute scripted short film shot entirely in Apple Immersive Video. Again, 180 degrees, shot in 8K, 4K delivered to each eye, and then using advanced spatial audio. You hear those specs, that instantly is going to tell you there's nothing like this before. So I would start off with the first scene. I'm not going to give any spoilers here. Again, watch this and you're going to be like, Brian, that was freaking crazy. You're right. But there's a bunch of crew members sleeping on the beds. And normally when we're watching a film, they're telling us what to look at based on how the shot is framed. Well, we're organically in these bunks. One character is moving around. And so yes, you turn and you start looking and seeing what he's doing. But there's this entire submarine deck below where things are happening while he's kind of waking up and moving around. I'm kind of telling this story myself because I'm living in it. I turn and look at another bunk member and see what he's doing. I hear with spatial audio, someone, just a little twinge of someone snoring here on the left side. So I immediately look and see what they're doing, right? This is, when they say it's immersive, but you in a way are living this experience because you can look wherever you want. You can hear and feel things. So that was the first thing where I'm like, oh, whoa, this is different, okay? Again, this is shot in 8K. There's sometimes tight close-up shots where you can see a little bead of sweat on someone's nose. You can see water droplets coming down on a knob. You can see like the scratches and details on the surface and the pores of someone's skin. That also really kind of brings you in. Some of these kind of nice, tight shots of equipment in there. You normally see that in a movie, you're like, okay, but when it's like coming right at you in your face, you're like, this feels like I'm on the ship. Now there's moments, obviously it's a submarine. They are under attack and no spoilers there, but there's moments where the water rises, you feel the claustrophobia of the submarine, but I viscerally like kind of tensed my body up as if like, oh, we're going underwater here. And because you're living in this moment, these are things that you've never experienced. There's shots that you'll never see in this film that I said, wow, that was a unique shot that only works in this type of medium. Things were a dolly shot that then takes you to like a small opening and it feels like you're walking down the hall. And this is not trying to be a first-person shooter experience. This is, again, shot as a film experience with characters and dialogue that you follow. There is nothing out there like it. Now, if you want to talk about the advanced spatial audio a little bit, I'm not going to spoil it, but there's a scene where I was looking in this direction and I heard something back here. And so right before I actually turned my body, because you only see 180, right? So it'll just be black background behind me. Right as I turned, then the shot changed to a kind of a wider shot showing what was behind me. And where I heard and where I imagined that would be from my position with the character, it was on screen. And I was just like, damn, there were so many times where I either laughed because it was so incredible, where I just said, I can't believe I'm seeing this. It was a brain-changing experience. And then when you think about this, okay, filmmakers, Edward Berger directed this film. Then I think of just innovative filmmakers out there already, someone like John M. Chu, who has totally gone all in with the Apple Vision Pro. What could he do with this? What could other filmmakers do with this? Apple needed to show not only a proof of concept, but something this special to then open people's brains and now see the value of why this medium, why this format is the next level of filmmaking. I'm not saying that everyone is going to buy a headset right away to experience this, but I think everyone that does experience this is going to be like, wow, this is something different and it's exciting. And I want to let you know, although you may not be able to see the entire film at home, if you go to an Apple store, you'll be able to actually demo a segment of this film. And then you come back here, come to the comments and tell me what you felt, what you saw, because I think you're going to say, okay, Brian, you're right. It sounds like, oh, a headline. No, this is brain changing. Now, there's also a making of the Submerged video that's on Apple Vision Pro. I think it's about a 5-minute clip. I encourage you to watch that because you're going to learn a lot of things. Think about this. I talk about how it feels like we're living in the environment. You may not see it, but right now there's a light hitting me here, a light hitting me there. In a production like this, you can't have studio lighting. You actually have to use the natural lighting of the environment, which keeps you kind of more immersed in the film. So imagine what you normally see in a film lot or studio or shooting anything. There's a lot of equipment. They have to be really small about this, right? It sees everything. I talked about, the guys sleeping in the bunk bed. When every character is active and live, this whole saying that there are no small roles, you've ever heard that in acting, this completely like buys into it. Was almost like you're watching a stage play, right? Everyone has a role to play. Your eyes are moving around, but it's not only just your eyes. You're like in it, right? You are in all of it. So I think that's unique. And then Apple is using their own proprietary Apple Immersive cameras for this. And then if you kind of rewind back to WWDC 24, Apple talked about that they are working with Blackmagic specifically for a camera setup that also uses DaVinci Resolve and then Apple Compressor, an entire workflow for creators like filmmakers, like people like us, to actually make 180-degree Apple Immersive videos shot at the high fidelity and spatial audio. So once they get that workflow out to the world, you're going to start seeing more people play with this. But Apple partnered with Edward Berger to make this incredible film. And I just think there's, at least within the community, and once you experience this, you will feel different about this product. So honestly, I feel good about my original review. I really try to keep a level head and balance. Everything I said still holds true today, right? Amazing, incredible technology, an experience like no other, still not the most comfortable, still heavy to wear over time, still not very affordable for the general consumer. But what I also said there is Apple needs new experiences, new content to build a library to make this more and more compelling. This is a moment where we said, okay, this is the most compelling piece of content that Apple has ever produced for the Apple Vision Pro. And this is an exciting moment for filmmakers, content creators. And, this just tells me that Apple is in this for the long play. They always have been. So people that might be poo-pooing this right now, new generations will come out. Also, just the wearable space. We saw a lot of different things. Orion came out, their approach to wearable experiences, whether it's augmented reality. We know that they have the Quest, which is more immersive. This whole space is still figuring itself out, but Apple just put down their flag at the top of the mountain and said, hey, we have the most incredible, most immersive, and best 3D experience that you will find anywhere today. And I can only imagine it's going to keep on getting better.